crisp morning air carried the sound of raised voices to your ears. You peeked out of the window to find the familiar sight of Jungkook, the infamous bad boy of your village, locked in a heated argument with your neighbor. The older lady, known for her sharp tongue, was waving her hands in exasperation while Jungkook, unfazed, leaned against his motorcycle with his usual icy glare. His tattoos peeked out from under his sleeves, and the tension in his posture was unmistakable. Your mother noticed you and gave you a warm smile. Mrs. Park, oh, good morning, dear. Just the usual drama, the lady and Jungkook. It's like they are at war every other day, she said as I handed you a cup of tea, and your curiosity pulled you outside to get a closer look, and the scene was just as chaotic as you had expected. Lady, how many times do I have to tell you not to park in front of my house? This isn't a garage. The lady yelled. Jungkook straightened up, his sharp eyes narrowing. Jungkook, and how many times do I have to tell you to not dump your trash outside my place? Do it again and I'll return the favor. He shot back, his voice low but cutting. Your father chuckled softly beside you, Mr. Park. He's rough around the edges. You glanced at Jungkook with growing curiosity. Despite his intimidating aura, there was something about him unspoken, almost intriguing. Just then, almost unintentionally, he met your gaze. For a fleeting moment, his expression unreadable before turning back to his bike. As the argument between Jungkook and the neighbor ended, with him reviving his motorcycle and parking it elsewhere, but the tension lingered in the air like a stubborn fog. You returned inside, but your parents weren't done sharing their opinions. Mrs. Park, that boy is nothing but trouble. All those tattoos and that attitude. Why doesn't he try to live decently like everyone else? Your mother shook her head disapprovingly as he arranged breakfast on the table. Your father chimed in, his tone matching her annoyance. Mr. Park, he's been like that ever since he moved to the village. Never talks to anyone unless it's to argue, and always looks like he's ready for a fight. Mark my words, he'll land himself in a real trouble someday. You nodded quietly, sipping your tea. You hadn't given Jungkook much thought before, but your parents' strong opinion left you uneasy. If they disliked him this much, there had to be a reason. They had lived in the village for far longer than you. Why does he even stay here if he is so unhappy? He doesn't seem to fit in at all. You wondered aloud, and your mother sighed. Mrs. Buck, who knows? Maybe he likes being the center of attention, even if it's for all the wrong reason. Just keep your distance from him, alright? That's the last thing we need, trouble from someone like him. You agreed, though a part of you remained curious about him. Still, you pushed it aside. Jungkook's bad reputation wasn't just harsh, it was something you saw firsthand every time he argued with someone or caused a scene. That day, as you walked through the village, you noticed people casting varying glances at Jungkook. He strode through the narrow streets like he owned them, his leather jacket and piercing gaze making him impossible to ignore. Yet no one dared say anything to his face. You told yourself that you didn't care, that he wasn't worth the effort. After all, how could someone so rude and reckless ever be anything but a nuisance? Ryan, what a morning, you muttered to yourself, sipping your tea, unaware this was just the beginning of your story with that would intertwine your quiet life with the enigmatic, misunderstood Jungkook. You stepped back into your room, tried to shake off thoughts of the morning's chaos, and focused on getting ready for your day. Your flower shop, your pride and joy, a little heaven of colors and scent that brought peace in your otherwise quiet life. Just as you were choosing a dress to wear, your phone buzzed on the nightstand. It was a call from your best friend Minji. Smiling, you answered. Ryan, hey Minji, what's up? Minji, Ryan just calling to remind you about my birthday party tonight. You better not forget. Her voice was bright and cheerful as always, and you couldn't help but laugh. Ryan, of course not. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Minji, good. Because I have a feeling tonight's going to be unforgettable. Just wait and see. Oh, and wear something cute. You always look too modest. It's my birthday. Go all out for me. You rolled your eyes but smiled. When? Fine, I'll dig up something nice. What time should I be there? Minji, around 7? And don't be late, or I will never let you live it down. She teased before hanging up. As you set your phone down, you felt a spark of excitement. Spending time with friends would be the perfect way to unwind and escape the usual village drama for a while. But first, you had a busy day ahead at the flower shop. Tying your hair back and grabbing your apron, you stepped out, ready to immerse yourself in the calming world of your flowers. As you arranged a fresh bouquet on the counter, the soft chime of the bell above the door signaled his arrival. You didn't need to look up to know it was him. The air in the shop felt different when he walked in, heavier, as if the world paused for a moment. Jungkook stood there, his usual cold, intimidating presence filling the space. His leather jacket hung loosely over his shoulders, his dark eyes scanning the room before locking onto yours. Without a word, he approached the counter, hands shoved deep in his pockets. You tried not to let your discomfort show. You knew exactly why he was here. He came every day, always at the same time, always asking for the same thing, a single red rose. Wine, just one today? You asked, your voice polite but distant, following your parents' advice to keep interaction with him minimal. He nodded silently, his expression unreadable. You quickly selected the freshest rose, wrapping it delicately in a simple yet elegant paper. As you worked, you couldn't help but wonder, as you often did, why a single rose every day? It was such an unusual habit, but you never dared to ask. You handed him the rose, carefully avoiding eye contact, and he placed the payment on the counter without saying a word. As he quietly walked out, the doorbell chimed softly behind him, and you stood there for a moment, the stillness of his departure lingering in the air. It always left you with a mix of curiosity and unease. What did he do with the rose every day? It didn't seem to match his tough, solitary nature. You shook your head, dismissing thoughts of Jungkook, and returned to your work. After all, the parents had always made it clear, don't get involved with him. Still, a part of you couldn't help but wonder about the mystery that was Jungkook. After a long, tiring day at the flower shop and receiving countless reminders from Minji, you were finally back home. The scent of your mother's cooking filled the air as you climbed the stairs to freshen up. Mrs. Bach, come fast, Yuna, I made your favorite dish. You smiled as her words echoed through the house. Despite the busy day, the thought of Minji's birthday party kept you energized. Once you were ready, you looked at yourself in the mirror. Minji had insisted you dress up, so you chose something simple yet elegant, festive but not too flashy. Satisfied with your look, you headed downstairs to find your parents at the dinner table. Mr. Park, wine, come fast and eat, your mother said with a warm smile, but as soon as she noticed your dress up appearance, her expression shifted. Mrs. Park, wait a minute, Chipmunk, are you going somewhere? She asked, raising an eyebrow. Wine, yeah, Amma, you replied. I told you yesterday it's Minji's birthday today and she invited me to her party. Please let me go, I won't be too late, I promise. Your father raised an eyebrow but said nothing while your mother exchanged a glance with him before smiling again. Mrs. Park, alright, Chipmunk. Just make sure you come back on time. You know how late parties can get in the city. Stay safe, alright? She said, concern in her voice. Why, and I will, you reassured her feelings, a mix of relief and excitement. Your father finally spoke, his voice gruff but caring. Mr. Park, and don't forget to call us if you need anything. Don't go wandering off alone at night. You nodded, feeling grateful for their concern. After a quick dinner, you grabbed your bag and stepped into the cool evening air. Your anticipation grew with every step. Tonight was about fun, friends, and forgetting the day's chaos. And for once, you were ready to let loose. You reached the address Minji had given to you and paused in front of the bar. It wasn't a place you would typically find yourself. Lively music and chatter of a crowd spilled onto the street. You hesitated, unsure if this was really your scene, but the sight of Minji's waving at you from outside gave you the nudge you needed. Minji, Ryan, you made it. She beamed and pulled you into a hug. Ryan, happy birthday, you said, handing her a small bouquet of her favorite flowers freshly picked from your shop. Minji, oh, thank you, these are beautiful, she said, holding them close. Come on, everyone inside, I'll introduce you. As you entered, the lively atmosphere involved you. The dimly lit bar buzzed with laughter, clicking glasses, and the thumping bass of a song. Minji quickly let you through the crowd, introducing you to her friends and colleagues. Minji, hey everyone, this is Ryan, my best friend. She announced proudly and you offered a polite smile to the group. Minji and Ryan, these are my colleagues. Diane, Hana, Chagyun, Nari, and Minsuk. They greeted you warmly, offering compliments and light-hearted jokes to make you feel comfortable, and for a while the night was enjoyable. But as the party went on, the atmosphere began to shift. A few of Minji's male colleagues started to approach. Jungkook, his voice softening, you didn't have to be scared anymore. I'm here. You're safe now. He carefully slipped his arm under you, lifting you effortlessly. Jungkook, let's get you out of here. He murmured, carrying you out of the room, shielding you from the lingering stares of the crowd. Your head rested against his chest, the pounding of your heart slowing in the safety of his arms. Once outside, the cool night air hit you and you felt a little steadier. Jungkook led you to his motorcycle parked outside the bar with a surprising gentleness. He sat you on a nearby bench and crouched down to check your face. Jungkook, you're okay, right? Can you hear me? His voice was soft as he hesitated for a moment before he brushed a strand of hair from your face, his dark eyes scanning yours with intensity. You nodded weakly, your voice barely audible as you murmured, "Wine." "Thank you," Jungkook sighed, his jaw tightening. Jungkook, you shouldn't have been alone. Do you have any idea how dangerous it was? You lowered your gaze, feeling guilty. Whined softly. I didn't think it would happen. Jungkook sighed, his tone soft but still serious. Jungkook, you shouldn't have to think about it, but the world's full of scum like them. You have got to be careful, Miss Wyan. He paused, then added, Here it's cold. He took off his jacket and handed it to you. You're starting to regain your senses, looking at him with teary eyes. Wyan, Jungkook, thank you. You spoke, meeting his gaze, his expression unreadable. Jungkook ran a hand through his hair, visibly frustrated but concerned. Jungkook, don't thank me. Just don't put yourself in that kind of situation again. Please, for now, don't stress. We'll talk about this later. First, let's get you home. He grabbed his helmet and placed it gently on your head, securing it with care. Jungkook, hold on tight, he instructed as he helped you onto his bike. Too drained to argue, you wrapped your arms loosely around his waist, feeling the warmth of his skin through his thin net t-shirt against your cheek.